I get quite a lot of complaints on this channel that it is nothing but, you know, slop. All I do is talk about the drama of the hour that as soon as you watch the video, which you probably have on in the background anyway, you'll instantly forget because of how superficial the topic is. Now, I will absolutely agree with you. I'm trying to break this trend as much as possible. That's why the other day I uploaded an Iron Lung-esque main channel review, but it ended up being on this channel instead because it was a shorter video. And because that video wasn't drama of the hour, it ended up being the lowest performing video I've uploaded in quite a while. Unironically, your views actually impact what kind of content goes out on this channel. So I thought, to balance the scales, why not talk about some drama which involves a very famous person online who got arrested for child trafficking. Yep, and I bet you clicked on this video thinking it was going to be, you know, Joshua Block getting blackout drunk again on the subway. So let me begin the video by asking you a question. You like to get your hair cut, right? I mean, unless you're bald, you probably go to a barber or a hairstylist, someone that's going to do your hair nice and pretty. Like my hair right now, which is, it's definitely one of the hairstyles of all time. I do want to say, by the way, about my hair, I know it's the biggest cope imaginable, but the first day where I style it, it always looks horrendous. It looks like a Karen bob. And then for some reason, the hair slowly looks better throughout the week, probably because more oil actually manages to set into the hair, because right now it's a little bit dry, it's a little bit lifeless. You know what? I don't even know why I'm bothering, because you're just going to type cope in the comments. But again, when you get your hair cut, it can be a nice experience. You get a little shave, you go to one of the Turkish barbers in the UK. There's actually some places you can go to, they'll even pour you a pint. Now, I don't know about you, but when I go to my barber, I don't really think that a little bit later down the line, they would be arrested and charged with human trafficking. I hate the fact that I've said that and set myself up for the biggest self-own ever, considering what my hair looks like today. Now, memes aside, this video does cover some pretty heavy topics. I already mentioned the trafficking, the human trafficking. It does get a lot worse than that. So if you're not comfortable watching, please, again, go watch the Voyager 19 review. Like no one watched this video, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Now, this story is about Georges Moubaid, who's a Lebanese content creator. We're going all around the globe now. I feel like I've never actually talked about a Lebanese content creator before. Now, he has a brand called Hair Zone. Now, I want you to imagine the most peak brain rot content imaginable, like something that just gets your dopamine, your serotonin, all running wild through your brain. I'm talking about the most skibbity rizzing gyat in all of Ohio. Gosh. That took 5 years off my life saying that. So a lot of his content is very strange. Instead of giving a haircut to someone, he might give them a haircut. That's not really the main focus though, even though he's called Hair Zone. He will build this like almost wax mold around people's head and fill it with stuff. Like for example, sometimes he'll put a fish in there. It's just the kind of content that you watch and you go, wow, that's so cool. And also there's no swearing and relatable. I might send this to a family member. Now, Hair Zone posted quite a lot on TikTok, but unsurprisingly, after the, human trafficking, his account was quickly removed. I mean, even the guy in this video, before we even go into the heavier charges, like he just looks depressed. He doesn't look happy. This truly is the average power viewer having to sit through another slop video. Now, Georges does loads of different haircuts for different groups of people. You know, men, women, kids, elderly. Now, originally, when looking into this, I really did think, you know, the entire point of the video would be, oh, look, Lamau, it's brain rot. Look, there's a fish inside that guy's head now, guys. Wow. Isn't that insane? But I do remember going onto any one of his TikToks, people would always ask, where is he now? And then the replies would be something ominous like, oh, did you not know that this guy went to jail? And that's what led me down this giant rabbit hole. Another reason why there's next to no coverage about this is because outside of like Arab news outlets, no one really talked about this. It never got any headline news. So at the beginning of May, Lebanese police made a breakthrough in an investigation revolving around 30 or so people. And in that investigation, 9 people were arrested, and one of those 9 people was confirmed to be Georges. Now, I really do wish the worst I could say this group did was a little bit of trolling. Maybe they stream Snipe Ninja or Dr. Disrespect with the Dr. Disrespect My Wife username. But this group did some like truly disturbing things. There was already a high watch in children's safety because a 6-year-old was, I can't even say it in the video, but imagine the worst thing imaginable. And also, yes, the 6-year-old died afterwards. And apparently this group that Georges is involved in was part of that. And apparently as well, this group would use TikTok as a bridge to get indecent images of kids and basically sell it on third-party websites. This was incredibly organized, to the point that when Georges was arrested, arrested, there was an article coming out saying that they actually basically had miners trying to find other miners. And it does seem, looking into it, that the authorities knew that this gang, you know, it wasn't just one or two guys, it was a huge operation. This involved men, women, and people with Syrian and Turkish nationalities. It was a huge network. Now, some of these local news articles actually did encounter witnesses. For example, one person was interviewed who actually had a run-in with them. A few months after I opened my TikTok account, I was sent a message from an account which at times will call itself The Agency. The teenager said they explained that they recruit children my age, 15 to 16 years old, to publish funny videos that get monetized, and I would receive any money the videos made. There was no hint of anything predatory at first. Obviously, to protect their identity, they're never named, or like, you know, no reference of gender or anything. Now, I could not imagine in my life a more suspicious name than The Agency. Imagine a group called The Agency reaching out to you and then saying, oh yeah, can you post some videos? We promise we'll pay you. Haha, wouldn't that be really funny, Lamau? The person being interviewed even goes on to say that, you know, it wasn't really normal forever. Again, as normal as it can be, being contacted by someone called The Agency. And then apparently they started getting messages from loads and loads of people because they had contact with this, The Agency, the affiliates of The Agency. I really pray to God right now there is not like a YouTube multi-channel network that is called The Agency, because no one is joining them now. Apparently there was an older man that reached out and he offered a phone and $1,500 to meet up. And apparently as well, which is even more worrying, they didn't want to meet in a public place, but instead doing it privately, even organizing like a taxi ride for them. Now, thankfully, this person in question chose to not meet this old, disgusting bastard, but it was pretty obvious that this older guy had links to The Agency, which I guess is like some kind of like supervillain incorporated now. And this has actually gotten so bad that Lebanon is actually looking to basically just ban TikTok in its entirety. Now, this is where the video gets really worrying because, like I said, this is an industry, this is a network that has spanned loads and loads of people. And believe it or not, there is a family tree. Now, we've all seen family trees. You know, you've got like Ancestry where you can do a little blood test. You can find out, you know, who your great-grandparents are. Hopefully, none of them are related to this gang because, oh my God, this family tree runs deep, probably into the 7th circle of hell. Now, there were loads and loads of people linked to this gang. There was a lawyer, there was a clothes store owner, and even a dentist, and even other influencers like Gigi Ganawi. You probably haven't heard of her because she's not really that big in the West, but all of her social media accounts have again been deleted. Now, there were loads of people flooding her with questions asking, you know, why did you get arrested? Are you part of this gang? And more importantly, she actually got pictures in the past with 2 people that were arrested in connection to this gang. And it goes even deeper because apparently a lot of these victims originally were planning to meet up with Gigi, like she would be the one to reach out. But then obviously when they met up with her, they weren't meeting Gigi. It was someone entirely different. Instead, meeting up with the gang members. Some of the alleged victims have also claimed that Ganawi sent them private messages of a provocative nature asking to meet up with them. But when they arrived at the scheduled location, they were met by gang members, according to the latest reports. Gawani has been arrested. Now, again, another reason why you haven't really heard much about this is because it is still an ongoing investigation. If anything, this investigation has only really just started within like the past week or 2. Now, several arrest warrants have been placed for everyone involved, but it's also rumored that a lot of the people who were going to be arrested, they caught wind of this beforehand because of how big corruption is over there, and they basically fled. Now, keep in mind, I still do want to make the main focus of this video about George Ace because, you know, he's the biggest person, he's the TikToker, but I think it is still really important and interesting to go over, you know, just how big this gang is and how many victims there were. One time he suggested that if I ever need a dentist, I should go to Hussein Alak's clinic. He said that to get a good deal and a quick appointment, instead of calling the clinic, I should message Alak privately, telling him my age and send him some photos of me. The teenager also claimed that he was approached on TikTok by an Arab man who offered him $20 for each pornographic image or video sent. Now, the man being talked about here isn't George's, but Hassan Singer. Now, this is basically a person who would reach out and pretend to care. He'd basically reach out and say, oh, be careful of these people. I'm actually looking out for you. But basically a false friend. And apparently another thing they do as well with these victims is continuously give them drugs to then use that as blackmail against them. And all of this was obviously going to be collected and recorded and sold on the dark web. And a bigger focus I do need to talk about here is, even though we are focusing on Georges and the gang that he's affiliated with, even if they all disappeared overnight, like, that is still such a small faction of how large human trafficking is in Lebanon. It is huge. It's even gotten so bad that other countries have started to notice. America, for example, even the United Nations, they have tried to urge Lebanon to, you know, stop it. Now, I'm not sure the extent of what the UN and America have done to help. I mean, to be fair, if we're talking about America, they probably just said, you stop that. You stop being naughty now. Stop with that trafficking now. Now, according to the US Department of State website, Lebanon has received a Tier 2 watch list status from 2023 from the Office to Monitor and Combat Trafficking in Persons. In short, the abbreviation for that is TIP, T-I-P. Now, TIP basically ranks a country depending on their minimum standards of how they deal with human trafficking. So Tier 1 is the country meets the standards, and Tier 3 being the worst, meaning like they're aware that there's trafficking. Do they care? No, not really. Now, Tier 2 is the weird one because that means that they're not complying, but they are communicating and they're trying to find ways to improve. Now, the biggest kind of improvement Lebanon have tried to implement in their trafficking law is the Lebanon's anti-trafficking law number 164-2011. It's their biggest step because it was technically their first law they passed, which outlawed the trafficking of humans, which I think is just absolutely wild that it took them that long to even establish it as a law. Now, even though there is that law, they still do have a huge problem trying to actually implement these punishments. Hence why they were given a Tier 2 rating, not a Tier 1. By the way, just want to keep in mind, they put in that law 11 years ago. 11 years ago, and they're still having an issue on how to punish people for basically kidnapping. Now, the United Nations, like I said, also got involved to basically say, that's bad, guys. You need to do better. Now, they've been doing this since around 2008. This is with Lebanon and UNICEF, and they did a study and actually found that, like, between 2005 and 2007, they reported at least 60 cases of human trafficking, and apparently 30 of those had convictions. Guess how much they got? Have a guess. It is going to be nowhere near as high as you think. They received a fine of $350 and a jail time of less than 6 months. Now, I would like to throw a little comparison. For example, in the UK, there's a lot of streaming services. You got Disney Plus, you got Netflix, you have Now TV, which is basically just an off-brand HBO. We're basically just waiting for the contract to expire so we can actually get HBO in the UK and I can stop using a VPN. Now, these Fire Sticks, they're not exactly legal because you're not exactly paying the monthly fee you would to a subscription service. Guess how much you get charged if you're caught with one? £50,000. That's not dollars, £50,000. So £50,000 for watching Mickey Mouse without Disney's consent compared to stealing a human and getting $350. Another comparison as well, in the UK last year, there was a group of guys. To be fair, this is a little bit more networked. There were 5 people that would sell a lot of illegal streaming services. Now, this immediately sounds dodgy, right? Like some dark web stuff, but all they were doing was basically reselling like Premier League stuff, football matches for a cheaper price. And collectively between the 5 of them, they got 30 years in prison. Apparently as well, that operation actually made them over £7 million. So damn, like no one wants to pay for Sky Sports, and I honestly don't blame them. It's unfortunately one of those situations where people are getting taken advantage of, and more importantly, the social media app in question is just never going to be regulated until the government steps in, and the government won't step in ever unless they probably get offered quite a lot of money. And again, like the situation with George Ace and his gang, it's great that the police found them and cracked down on them, but they are probably less than like 1% of all these gangs that are going around in Lebanon doing human trafficking. And it was really smart because the content that George Ace made on Hair Zone, it was, you know, it was basically advertised for everyone. You know, you could be any age watching that kind of content and share it, and unfortunately get involved in that horrible gang. Like, look at this one here. Like it's just got... It's like Froze Dome, and then it's Bubbles, and then you've got like, you know, Pinhead Larry special, and even that goldfish video that I opened the video up on, you know, making a joke about it. In that video, you've got this fish swimming around in the guy's head, and then he just sticks some cotton candy in because it's like, ooh, bright colors. People will now click reshare. You know, all I'm saying, if you stick cotton candy in with a fish, that sugar probably going to affect the water, going to affect the pH, the water quality. I'm pretty sure that after they stopped filming that video, the fish just went straight out and they put it back in a fish tank. Hopefully, I'm trying to look at this from the best case scenario, but again, like, you can really just tell that these are people that placed content above anything else. In conclusion, do not trust someone that does haircuts with goldfish. All I'm saying is, like if you're messing with small animals for fun, that is basically the first sign of you being an actual serial killer. But yeah, I thought this was a really interesting topic. I genuinely just thought we'd be laughing at funny, cringe, brain rot haircuts, but there was a huge rabbit hole here, and obviously the investigation and the cases are still ongoing. But yeah, like I said at the start of the video, if you made it this far, far, please go and watch the Voyager 19 video. It's the video uploaded just before this one. I really enjoyed it. I really want it to do well so I can make more videos like that. I mean, a good example is the subreddit. My subreddit absolutely despises me right now, but even they came out the woodwork to say that video, yeah, it was actually all right. But again, I can't make videos like that if the viewership isn't there. There's no point. You know, in an ideal world, I could be doing these like gaming videos and challenges and still getting the viewership of the drama slop videos, so I could stop doing drama slop entirely. But again, I've got a lot of people that I need to pay, so unfortunately, I can't do stuff like that if it just doesn't get the viewership.